This could be the kebab capital of the world. Welcome to Adana! So this is Adana, one of the biggest cities in Turkey with around 2 million residents. Like many cities in Turkey, it's got its own individual character and is renowned for its culinary specialities. Along with being a major trading post throughout history, it's also a huge agricultural centre. Adana is surrounded by thousands of hectares of fertile fields. It's about 50 kilometres, that's 30 miles from the coast. But the Seyhan River runs right through the centre of the city. And because of the hydroelectric dams here, now the back of the city is huge lakes. And one of the best viewpoints is from the Turquoise Cafe at the huge university campus. One of the most popular tourist attractions here is a clock. So behind me is the Büyüksaat, the big clock, probably the most visited place in Adana. That's poignant, isn't it? And it was constructed in 1882 and it's 32 metres high, which is about 105 feet. And obviously by the chiming sounds, it's still working. But around the area where the clock is, it's almost a living museum. This is Kazancılar, or the area of the boiler or cauldron makers. And that's a nice big one. I could cook you in that, lovey. Yeah, he's putting the flux on now. That's the flux, and then he's going to solder it all the way around, and that's seal the bottom. Hey, he's a good solderer. The people working here still use old traditional ways which have been lost in many other places, especially the kalaycı, or the one who does the old technique of tinning copper pans by hand using flux and solder. Look at that. Wow. This is Ulusi Usta. They call flux nishata, and they used to use cyanide flux 50 years ago, which was dangerous, of course. No wonder there's not many of these craftsmen left. Most of Ulusi's work is returning old copper pots and pans back to their original state that people bring him.
A great place to have a cup of tea and stay warm.
And of course you can buy some of these lovely copper vessels around here too. Ne diyorsunuz onlara?
Yoğurt çingili.
Çingili, çingili.
Bakır bu.
Evet.
So this is what you make the yogurt in, apparently?
Yes. And they're not the only craftsmen in this area.
Bunu çıkart siliyorsun, temizliyorsun. Sonra buraya monta.
I like that. That's cute.
Are you going to ask him how much it is?
Bu ne kadar?
Bu 300.
300.
300 lira?
Yes.
And it's made of walnut. It's walnut.
Well, that's what he
Bir de böyle
said.
var. Bu bir de.
This place is a hive of activity with craftsmen and street sellers and so much humour and smiling faces.
There's lots of little restaurants and coffee shops, and you can smell the cooking.
Couldn't get fresher food than that. He's making the salad in the street. English biz? Yes.
And the Kazancalar restaurant is one of the most popular around this area, although we never got to try it. We'll be covering food and restaurants later in the film, but in a nearby street they were selling one of Adana's specialities.
This looks interesting. So this is called Cesaria.
Cesaria.
Cesaria, a speciality of Adana. So let's try some.
How would you describe it?
You can taste it's cinnamony, spicy. But it's got pistachios in. Lovely.
But it's a type of Turkish delight, isn't it? And it's made from carrots, apparently. It's got carrots in it.
So it's a natural sweetness.
I don't know.
Is it natural? Sweet? Natural? Yeah, so there's no added sugar because the sweetness comes from the carrot.
Ah.
I'll check it.
Oh, it's just lovely. I think we better buy some.
It seems to keep you quiet for a bit longer.
I'll have some of that. Ne kadar olur?
We'll have a kilo.
No, no.
We're buying 20 liras worth. Teşekkürler. İyi günler. Come on then.
In the same street as the big clock is the Tıp ve Diş Hekimi Müzesi, or what we would call the Physician and Dentist Museum, apparently the only one of its kind in Turkey, and it was in a beautifully restored Ottoman house.
This poor guy is obviously needing a leg transplant.
Yeah.
So they've basically given him a new leg, which seems a bit odd to me.
Barbaric. But it was the 4th century AD. So they actually think this was the first place where they did transplant, or tried to do a transplant. He probably died. 2 guys were priests from a Christian community in Yumurtalık, which is on the coast. So this is Shanazi Mehmet Atullah, who was around in 1770s to 1826, and he wrote one of the first anatomical books in Turkey.
I've still got one of these, and I use it to take your blood pressure, don't I? They're actually very accurate.
More accurate than the electronic ones,
What?
probably.
As long as you can hear.
And how about this? One of the first pedal-powered dentist's drill, with the drill head and all its attachments. And an old dentist's chair, of course.
And this is intriguing as well. This is a lamp, just a normal lamp, but it's got a concave mirror to make the light brighter, and then it's got a lens at the front which would make a spotlight on the teeth while they were drilling them out with a drill.
So this is one of the first machines they use for taking somebody's ECG, the electrocardiogram.
So that guy up there was Petev Ata, and he was a doctor, but he became the first dentist in Turkey. Apparently studied in Germany as well. But if you look at the tools he used, it looks like the tools out my shed.
What a fascinating museum, and well worth a visit.
Just a couple of 100 metres from the Physician and Dentist's Museum, and close to the old clock tower is the old mosque complex, which was the biggest mosque in Adana until the Sabancı Central Mosque was built.
So I'm in the courtyard of the Ulu Jami, or Grand Mosque, and this courtyard, which was originally a madrasa or old school, it was built in 1541. It took 30 years to build it. It's also got a fountain in this courtyard area, but this is a lovely place just to sit quietly and have a cup of tea. There are lots of lovely parks in Adana.
The Ataturk Park is full of mature trees, bushes and plants. It was my favourite park because of the birds singing, especially the Arab bulbulu, or what we call the yellow-vented bulbul. And there's also a tribute here to Ziya Pasha, who was an intellectual writer and statesman from the 19th century.
But probably the most popular one is the Central Park, or Merkez Park, where there's also a huge mosque.
The lovely Central Park next to the Seyhan River is like many city parks in Turkey. But Sabancı Central Mosque is a centrepiece of modern architecture.
So this is the Merkez Jami at the back of us. It sort of reminds me of the Taj Mahal in India.
Completed in 1998. It took 10 years to build.
It was built with the funds of the Religious Foundation and the Sabancı family, who are the second wealthiest family in Turkey, second only to the Koç family.
4 of the 6 minarets are 99 metres high, and the central dome is a massive 32 metres across, which is 105 feet, and 54 metres off the ground, which is slightly bigger than the dome of Hagia Sophia, the Blue Mosque and St Paul's Cathedral in London.
So what about eating out? Well, there are locantas and little kebab houses all over the city.
And some of the best and tastiest street food we've ever found. And with speedy service.
And it doesn't matter what restaurant you go to or what you order, you always seem to get these starters with everything.
And we found that many of the locantas do their own special dishes.
This is hot hummus
Out the oven.
out the oven with melting cheese, very hot and very delightful.
Is that burnt your tongue? Wow, I'm salivating now.
You've only just sat down. So we're at the Kasri Kervan Kebab. I said, we haven't ordered anything yet, but all this lovely food's already arrived.
I don't think we need to order anything, do we? And when you're in Adana, you've got to have an Adana kebab. It's wonderful eating in the locantas all over the city, but there is one very popular locanta.
So we're at the Mermaid restaurant, which is a couple of miles out of the city on the south side. I just looked at the photographs of the food and thought, we must go there.
Mükemmel, hoş geldin.
Hoş bulduk.
Nasılsın?
İyiyiz. Kolay gelsin.
Tamam, teşekkür ederim.
Ne kesiyorsunuz?
Kuzu sırt.
Oo, ne güzel ya.
Etin en güzel yeri.
Wow. Kaç tane yapıyorsunuz bir akşam etine?
100 kilo.
100 kilo mu?
Evet.
Wow. He says they do 100 kilos of this meat every night. Here's the meat arriving.
Wow. Oh my lord.
Have you ordered? Have you asked a load of people to come and help us out? That's incredible. Sanmıyorum. He says, do you think there's something missing? A bit more shalgam suyu to wash it down with. Lovely. Shalgam suyu is made from black carrots, which are like a normal carrot, but they're black, and they pickle the juice a little bit, and it tastes just like the juice from a pickled beetroot jar. And you get an Ajula one, which is the hot one, or this one. Here in Adana, they serve shalgam suyu at every restaurant and locanta. The Adana kebab is done with the minced meat, not like the mashed up mince. Well?
Oh, that's lovely.
So I'm going to try one of the lamb chops. Oh, they're lovely.
Does it melt in your mouth?
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely stunning. And quite big chops as well. Wow.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to finish all this.
I was just going to say, we've got our work cut out if we're going to get through this. So.
Yavaş yavaş.
Yavaş, yavaş.
They have got such lovely food here. So we're going to try the Sherdan, which is a speciality of Adana, and apparently we've looked it up on the internet. It's the piece between the sheep's stomach and the sheep's small intestine, which is the mumbar actually. So it's the little bit in the middle, and they stuff it with rice and other bits and bobs. And I suppose we're expecting it to taste a little bit like a haggis, maybe. But it's not stuffed with meat, it's stuffed mostly with rice. Şuraya koyabilirsiniz. Teşekkürler. Yok, it's certainly got a weird look about it, doesn't it?
But it even wobbles.
Yeah, it's a bit rude, isn't it?
I can't believe I'm trying this because it doesn't look very appetizing. But I'm cutting it into because there's a bit of...
How does it look?
Anyway.
Here goes. It's not chewy.
No, it's delicious. It's made of rice and chickpeas and spices, some meat, but it is really tasty. Very tasty. I'm gonna have some more.
I'm not sure. It's a lovely flavour. Very peppery, isn't it? Very black peppery. But yeah. So this is Sherdan dolması. You must try it when you come to Adana. Mehmet, teşekkürler. Right, so in Adana there's so many specialities that we couldn't possibly try them all. Trudy's trying this called mumba dolması, which is made from the intestines, stuffed with rice, meat, spices and chickpeas. And
it doesn't look very appetizing, but it is delicious. And it's actually healthier than sausage, I would say. Really nice.
There is one street that stands out with chic bars and restaurants. So this is Shanazi Effendi Caddesi, or what we would call Shanazi Street.
So when you come to this street, you're spoilt for choice when it comes to the bars and the restaurants.
And it's a lovely area, the most popular area between the Trengar, which is the train station, and Ataturk's Park.
And I've got to say, our favourite was the Tuco Gastro Pub.
So what do you think of this place then?
Lively!
Whoa, kolay gelsin!
This is the naughty part of the dinner. Okay, we've just had a lovely meal. We've had a fillet steak, we've had a large pizza, we've had a souffle, 2 beers, a whiskey, a soda, all for 260 lira.
Which is?
Which is about £14.30 we worked out.
There's several really large shopping malls here, and this one is called the M1, where the Cinema Max is. And it's about a 15-minute drive out of the centre of Adana. But it's massive, you could easily get lost in it.
You'll find all the well-known shops and classy department stores like Marks and Spencer's here.
I thought I'd find you in here. We're in December and this place is so Christmassy.
With a big cinema and even a night spot where famous people like Tarkan have performed. But there's also great shops in the city centre.
Lots of sparkle in this one.
Oh, something you like, is there?
Yeah, shall we go in? How exciting!
I've got a feeling this is going to cost me some money.
So this was too long, so I've asked him to take out one of these, but he's also, look, he's put it on and made me a necklace. Isn't that pretty?
So you got a matching necklace for the same price?
Absolutely. Isn't that lovely? Where else would you get that done?
There are several museums here in Adana, and one of the most popular ones is this, the Ataturk Evi, or Ataturk Museum.
Ataturk, who was considered the father of the Turks, who did so much for this country, he often visited places all around Turkey, big cities especially, and whenever he stayed in a city, he usually stayed in somebody's wealthy house, and he came here a few times, and once with his wife in 1923.
And another popular museum that's in these lovely restored old buildings is the Cinema Museum.
Most of the photographs are of characters and producers from years ago in Turkey, and you wouldn't know them unless you were Turkish. But there is a great collection of old cameras, which was quite interesting.
And I actually used the colour head enlarger like that about 45 years ago when I first started photography. Traditional old Turkish house. This is a really interesting building actually next to the church, which shows a little bit of how people lived 150 years ago. But this house was obviously a wealthy person's house. And actually it gives you quite a lot of information about the old culture, what they used to wear and how life was years ago. So this is a beautifully built little church, and it's well worth coming to have a look at it. But always my favourite is the Archaeological Museum.
On a wet day like today, this couldn't be more appropriate. Meet the storm god.
Just look at these heads, aren't they fantastic? 2,000 years old almost, most of these. I'm always impressed when I see a bronze statue that's lasted almost 2,000 years, because they usually get melted down, but this is one of the best I've ever seen. Riding down the streets of Fethiye in one of them. There are also many bridges here, and one of the bridges is nearly 2,000 years old.
The Tashcupra, or stone bridge, was originally built in 135 AD, they think, and it was only about 3 meters wide. It's been renovated so many times and is now over 11 meters wide, so it's changed a bit over the years. But it's still an important focal point in the city and still popular with everybody. About an hour's drive from Adana through some lovely surrounding rural countryside and up into the mountains is another bridge of importance.
So this is what they call the Vada Bridge, or Vada Bridge, and it's a railway bridge that has recently become famous, and that's because they used it in the film, the James Bond film, Skyfall. But it's also got another name. They also call it the Alman Köprüsü because it was the Germans, Alman means German in Turkish, Alman Köprüsü, because they built it, I think, over 100 years ago.
And it's 98 meters from the river below. This huge bridge was built as part of the Baghdad Railway. And all the building materials at that time were brought here by camel from Tartus, which is another place that you might want to visit.
So we're on our way to Tartus. It's just one straight road, and you see all the industry that is around Adana, and it's huge. But as you come away from the industrial part of Adana, you then realise what a huge flat area of agriculture there is. And what they produce here must feed half of Turkey.
So this is Cleopatra's Gate. I have no idea when it was built, but Tartus is famous for when Cleopatra met Antony, and this is to commemorate a huge present she made in the city. Well, if it was good enough for Cleopatra, it's good enough for me.
So this is the old part of Tartus, which is about 40-minute drive away from Adana. And these streets are lovely old streets. They're not easy to find though.
There's a couple of quirky cafes and bars catering for tourism here, and even a small boutique hotel.
So this place is steeped in history, and apparently St. Paul was born here in Tarsus. And Alexander the Great also came here in 333 BC, and he bathed in the waters around here and apparently died shortly afterwards.
There's several other interesting sites around the town, including this Roman road which was found about 20 years ago.
Tartus is just like many little towns in Turkey, except because of its history, it's become a bit of a touristic destination. There's a range of really lovely hotels here, and they're very reasonably priced compared to other cities. Well, whatever city we stay in Turkey, we usually try and stay in 2 different hotels in 2 different locations. And the first one we went to was this one, the Golden Deluxe Hotel, which is in a back street between 2 of the parks, the Central Park and the Ataturk Park. So it's an ideal position, and it comes with breakfast as well. And the second hotel was more central.
And that was the Mavi Sumeli Hotel.
Hoş geldiniz.
Hoş bulduk.
You can get some really good deals online. This is a 4-star rated hotel, and we managed to find it for £25 a night for a deluxe suite room. And it's very nice.
There are several very interesting castles not far from Adana, around an hour's drive away. One of them is called Yulankale, or Snake Castle. We haven't had time to visit them on this trip, so next time, maybe.
But we did go to a theatre production, and even if you don't speak Turkish, you'll probably understand the plot.
Gördünüz. Ne diyeceksiniz? Bu adam büyük kate değer bir adam. Şimdiye kadar onun gibi birine rastlamamışım. Her zaman demişimdir. İnsanlar sürekli bir şeyler isterler. Uzun ömür isterler, sevgi isterler, aşk isterler.
There are so many other places that deserve a mention. One is the Beta Tea House.
What a lovely place to have a cup of tea.
Oh, nice view as well, isn't it?
It's lovely. It smells nice as well.
I should think there's 100 different choices on this menu from all sorts of teas from all around the world, and you want a Nescafe.
Yeah. With milk. So the tea arrives like this with a timer, and the coffee
looks like this. You can also buy the lovely cast iron tea sets and the tea, of course.
Oh, shopping!
And if you're there in the summertime, make sure you try the Adana special Biji by the lakeside, which is a sort of slush puppy dessert.
The best way to get to Adana is to fly here via Istanbul, and we came with Turkish Airlines, and there's direct flights from Izmir and Antalya. And Shakir Pasha Airport is only a few kilometres from the centre of the city. It's actually closer than the Autogar, the bus station, so you can just jump into a taxi and it's not going to break the bank. The railway station is very close to the centre too. And from here you can get easily to Mersin, which is the coastal city, only about 45 minutes away on the train, and you can also get to most cities in Turkey.
And it's a great place to feed and enjoy the pigeons.
That's the birdman of Adana. So that's it from the lovely city of Adana.
Check out our channel and subscribe so you don't miss where we go next.
Thanks for watching.